This is the Carl Miller Show, where we talk about all things real estate, financial investments, and getting into a home you love. With over 15 years of experience, this is your host, Carl Miller.
Market updates, the first half of 2026, and what every first-time home buyer should know about home inspections. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Carl, your host. I'm the principal broker at Carl Miller Realty. We're Lynchburg's first certified full-service professional brokerage, and we're located at 7700 Timberlake Road in Lynchburg. We are your caring, competent, trusted advisors for real estate sales and service. If you are a homeowner or an aspiring homeowner, this show is for you. And I'm also in a network of the best realtors in Canada and the United States, operating with skill and with a relational approach to meeting your housing needs. So whether relocating to or from Central Virginia, maybe you've inherited a house outside of Lynchburg and you don't know who to call, we've got you. I want to talk about a quick update. We have an open house scheduled Sunday. That's on the 12th from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And this is located in Bedford County. It's on almost 4 acres of land. It's got a garage, there's vaulted ceilings, and it's out in the country a little bit. It's just a little under 30 minutes outside of Lynchburg, about 20 minutes out to Vista and 20 minutes to Leesville Lake. And it's hosted by Jenny, and the address is 12376 Leesville Road. That's open Sunday from 2 to 4. Check out that property. It's a beautiful little house out in the country, and you won't be disappointed with that one. I want to thank our sponsor this month, and that's Trestle Storage. Trestle Storage has 155 units of newer storage space. They're located just 6 miles south of Route 460 on 501 in Rustburg, and they offer the only climate-controlled storage units in the Rustburg zip code. You'll enjoy a gated fence secure facility with automatic keypad entry, spacious parking, and a wide entry road that's easy to maneuver a 40-foot rental truck around in. And you'll love the convenient location and easy access just 1 mile north of Rustburg. There's boat and RV outdoor storage spaces available too. Climate-controlled units start at just $115 a month. And you, the listener, get a code for a discount. You can get 15% off any climate-controlled unit for the first 6 months by using Radio 15 at checkout. TrestleStorage.com.
It's time for a new featured listing from Carl Miller Realty.
Well, we've got a listing out in Forest at 1263 Somerset Drive, and this is a 2,100 square foot house all on one level. You'll just appreciate this unique 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath home, and the primary suite features a walk-in shower. There's also a handicap access walk-in tub that provides comfort and accessibility. You can enjoy the multiple spaces for relaxing and entertaining, including a welcoming front porch, a private patio, and bright sunroom. This is a great property. It's a great opportunity. It's the lowest price house in Somerset. It's listed for $499,900. Again, 2,100 plus square feet, all on one level. Check it out. You can go to carlmillerrealty.com for more info or to schedule your showing today. Well, let's talk a little bit about the market. You know, it's hard to believe, but we are halfway through the year. We're in the third quarter, and goodness gracious, it is July, and it is Q3 2026. Anthony, the producer's in the show, in the studio with me today. Hard to believe we're in the third quarter of 2026, huh?
This might be the fastest moving year of my life.
Yeah.
It just feels like you blink and another month is gone.
That's because you're getting older.
Insane. That's true, too.
So mathematically, the older you get, the faster the years go.
Yeah. That's a scary thought.
Proportionally, yeah.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it speeds up. Well, we are in the third quarter, and the question is, what has the housing market done nationally and locally? So we did bold predictions in December of 2025, talked about what we expected to see in 2026. And it turns out there was some X factors here that changed things up a little bit. But here were the predictions. The predictions nationally were this. There were going to be a 14% increase in sales volume. That's what was the forecast, 14% more homes to sell in the United States this year. Interest rates to be, now this is where they margined it a little bit, 5.8% to 6.2%. And I say these are the National Association of Realtors economists. 5.8 to 6.2 is what they said the rates would be this year. And the median sales price would go up 3%. Again, nationally, 14% increase in sales was the forecast. Interest rates to be 5.8 to 6.2%, and median prices to go up about 3%. What really happened nationally? Well, sales volume has been very sluggish. It's up 1%. Interest rates early this year did drop below 6%, But in February, after the Iran war began, rates pushed up to around 6.5%, which slowed the amount of sales. Prices are up nationally, 2 to 3%. In fact, in June, the median sales price surged to an all-time high of $440,600 for single-family homes. That's an all-time high. Median sales price is up. This is a June month. This is a 30-day snapshot. I expect that as the numbers come in for the entire quarter, and certainly as we go into July and August, the numbers will show a slight dip from the number in June, because up until that month, median sales price in the U.S. has been around $425,000. Month of June, the closings there, again, all-time high, $440,600 for a single-family home price. That's the median price. So here's what's happening nationally. Instead of the number of home sales going up 14%, it's barely up at all. I mean, it's up 1%. And in fact, the seasonally adjusted numbers came out from the National Association of Realtors this week and shows that 4.09 million homes is what's going to sell this year. And that is absolutely flatlined. I mean, we were at 3.9, I believe, in 2023, right around that 4.0 number in 2024, about the same last year, 4.0. So going into 2026, the thought was, hey, this is unsustainable. The United States population is 30% higher than it was in 1995. That's the same number as 1995, 4 million sales. And so it only stands to reason there's high pent-up demand, both for sellers and buyers. We're going to see the sales volume go up 14% nationally. And here we are, halfway through the year, it's up 1%.
Well, and if it's still that pent-up need or want, what's going to cause the, I guess, proverbial straw that broke the camel's back for this floodgate to open?
Right. To me, I think it's interest rates. Interest rates is the X factor. That's what I see. I think, and again, people way smarter than me say that when if rates were to get down to 5.8 or less, that would break the logjam, and we would see a lot of people be comfortable getting off of their rate they're locked in. A lot of people are locked into a 3% rate, give or take, certainly under 3.5%, and because it is a major upsize. I just was talking to a real estate agent just this week, actually, out of state, not in Lynchburg, but okay. So again, different numbers, different price points, but they are selling a home for right around the $1.3 million price that they had bought in 2020, locked in at a $1.1 million purchase price in 2020. It's going under contract now for 1.3. They're upsizing to a 1.8 house, but their mortgage payment is going to go from a little over $4,000 a month to $12,000 a month. So you think about the increase.
Hearing that number.
Well,
that's insane.
Again, both of these, they're medical professionals. So when you hear those numbers, you got to think, okay, proportion of income, household income, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, to them, they can swing a $12,000 a month mortgage, but the fact that they're with a high income earner going from a $4,000 a month payment to tripling to $12,000. Yeah. Now again, they are upsizing their house size. They're going from a substantial house to a more substantial house. But it's just again an indication of why some people are like, you know what, I may not love this house, but I'll keep my low payment. And so what I see kind of boots on the ground right now is a lot of people they like their payment more than they like their house. So back to your question, what's it going to take for people to move? The interest rates to me is the X factor, because when you can go from, if you get down to the mid fives, the upsize of payment becomes a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to deal with that if your payment doesn't triple or double even. So I think to me that's the X factor.
If the rates do go down, though, does the market currently have maybe the yield to deal with all that much more people coming into it?
It's a great question. Let's talk about that a little bit. In fact, it's in my data here for the next pages down because no, seriously, and I appreciate you asking that because here's what has happened. The difference between the market of 2026 mid-year and the market of 2022 mid-year. Now, 2022 is the year that interest rates doubled in a very short period of time. About this time, actually about the middle of the year, those rates started to jump in 2022. And in 2022, at this time, July, 4 years ago, we had just over 1 month of housing supply, at least in Lynchburg. I don't know what the national number was, But today, there's 4.5 months of housing supply. So again, just as a refresher, for those of you listening to the show, you know what month of supply is, but you take the active amount of homes and you divide that by the monthly pace of sales. So to keep things simple, if there's 900 houses on the market, if 300 homes are selling a month, 300 a month, 300 a month, 300 a month, in theory, there's 3 months worth of supply. Because you take the amount of inventory and divide it by the pace of sales. So right now in the United States, again, brand new data from the National Association of Realtors, nationally we have 4.5 months of housing supply. So 3 key indicators that when I look at the market is this: days on market, months of supply, and interest rates. And that's the key to housing affordability. So 28 is the median days on market. That's the days on market right now for homes that are selling. 4.5 months of housing supply, and interest rates are at 6.5%, give or take right now. So the answer to your question, Anthony, is that if the interest rates were to drop, the good news is buyers have a lot of choices right now, and that inventory would not dissipate immediately. And I think the other thing that would happen is we'd see more inventory come on the market because sellers that want to upsize or laterally move, maybe they're in a 2-story house and they want to be in a 1-level house, for example. They've been holding on to putting that house on the market because affordability,
right,
interest rates. You would see inventory come on the market, and I think it could absorb for a long time.
So it would be a good thing, pretty much twofold for the market.
It would
because
be
the
amazing.
market would be able to sustain itself while also have people entering it
Absolutely.
at a pretty high rate.
And I'm saying this, a little bit with a vested interest as a real estate broker. I want to see more sales volume. I want to see my business thrive, and when you have more transactions, then the business can thrive more. But honestly, it would be good for the consumer. There's a lot of people that desire to move, but it feels out of reach right now. And that's kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about. Well, let me give the local numbers. So I gave the national numbers: 28 median days on market, 4.5 months supply, interest rates 6.5%. So locally, and this is for the homes that closed. This is sometimes when I give data, most times I'm only talking single family homes, and I'm talking Lynchburg and 3 touching counties. This is townhouses, condos, and the entire Lynchburg MLS, which goes into Appomattox County, goes into Halifax County, goes up into Nelson County, and even a few other outskirt counties like Charlotte County, Prince Edward County. So this is a broad footprint here. So just looking at the entire MLS, including townhomes and condos, the median days on market for the homes that sold the first half was 16. So again, nationally it's 28. Locally here it's 16 days on market. Now that's the median days on market for the homes that sold. There's many homes on the market that have been on the market longer than that are for sale. But the homes that have sold, 16 is the median days on market. And we have 3.4 months of housing supply. It's more than we've had all year. We've been under 3 months all year long until just maybe middle May, beginning of June. We crested over 3 months of housing supply. So again, nationally, 4.5 months of supply. Locally here, buyers have more choices than we've had, probably since 2019. So if you're a buyer right now, you do have options, more options than you've had in many years, which is pretty cool. Here's what I am observing, and that's this idea of what a need versus a want is, needs versus wants. So my business coach says that in a normal market, 80% of the home buyers and sellers, they're moving because they want to. They're moving for the school district. They're moving for a convenient access to recreational opportunities. They're moving for a better view. They're moving for a better neighborhood, or for the pedestrian-friendly community, or to be closer to work, or to have the nice kitchen, or maybe to have a new house, or a newer house at least. And the number one reason is to just be closer to family. I want to just be closer to my family, so I'm going to move. So it's a wants market. 80% in a typical market move because they want to. And today, 80% of people are moving because they need to. There's a compelling need. And there's a big difference in the seller and buyer that needs to move versus the seller or buyer that wants to move. And it's inverted because you got highly motivated sellers, you got buyers that have typically just a compelling need. And so again, things like, you got a death going on, and now we got a vacant house, or a family member who's lost their spouse, and the house just doesn't make sense. We're moving because we need to. Sometimes it's a health issue. You get a bad diagnosis. Sometimes you have diapers coming into the family. You got more and more babies, and hey, this house is absolutely too small. We need to move. Diamonds is the other big D here, where you have diamonds coming in and somebody's getting married, and that's an exciting thing. But departure, job relocation, you got terminated from your job, or your company gave you an opportunity in another state. So job relocations or departures are the other need. And then divorce, a lot of divorces right now going on in the country. And so typically when that happens, not always, but most times there is a property sale that occurs sometime in the next 24 months out of those. So these are all life situations that are compelling needs. And so it's a needs-based market versus a wants-based market is what I kind of see, boots on the ground.
And it does almost feel like in some of those the want seems to be a bit more of a positive connotation, and the need is almost a desperation type feeling.
It can be. Now sometimes it's exciting. We got another baby, and we're going to get out of this 2-bedroom house into a 3-bedroom house. New job opportunity for sure. But no, Anthony, you're 100% right. And so because of that, there is a lot of emotion and there's a lot of stress. I think that the stress level in the marketplace, as I see it, is it's definitely up tremendously from what it was certainly pre-COVID. And so that's just kind of the reality of the world we're living in. And, the agents, we train on this at our office. We understand these emotional events are going on for people. And we really work hard not just to meet the transactional need, because there is a transactional need there, but also the emotional needs of the people that we serve that are moving. And so we do have resources to help. Like, for example, somebody needs a house cleaned out. Grandma passed away and they're out of state and we don't know what to do with all this stuff. We got resources for that. And we would love to help you, your family member, your coworker, or your friend who's in that needs-based market, has an emotional need going on beyond the transactional need. And we love serving people and helping them get where they want to go. Hey, second part of this show, we're going to talk about what every first-time home buyer needs to know about home inspections. Welcome back to the Carl Miller Show. I'm Carl, your host, principal broker at Carl Miller Realty. Hey, follow our social pages. Sierra, she's our creative director. She puts out fun, engaging content. Our social handles on Instagram and Facebook are at Carl Miller Realty. Also, check out our YouTube channel at Carl Miller Realty. Follow us there. You'll probably learn something. You'll get the opportunity to interact with us. Maybe you have a question you want answered, even on the radio here. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to engage with you.
It's time for Carl Miller Realty's Local Stat of the Week.
The smallest single-family detached house on the market this week in Greater Lynchburg is located in Bedford County. This modern cabin offers 320 square feet. That's it, 320 square feet, 1.8 acres of land. There's a wraparound deck, a detached storage shed. It's listed by Century 21 for $259,000. And additionally, there are 3 condos available at Smith Mountain Lake, and these are in the Graves Harbor community. Now, these homes also are small, 290 to 300 square feet condos, and they range in price from $133,000 to $153,900. And if you want information on any of those properties, let us know. We'd be glad to get you into them if you want a small house.
Are those like those? That almost feels like a what's the word I'm looking for?
Efficiency suite type thing.
An efficiency suite or a like a one-bedroom studio apartment. Thank you.
Yeah, that's basically what they are.
That's what those feel like.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Well, it's on the lake. You got the harbor.
Oh, so you get the view.
And
okay, that makes it
and I will say the price sounds very attractive, $133,000 to $153,000. And they are, but there is a homeowners association there that maintains elevators and dock slips and all that. So
nice.
So the HOA is going to be significant. It's going to be more than your mortgage payment for sure.
It sounds like it could be worth it.
Oh, you know what? If you like the idea of waking up overlooking the lake and you want a little getaway spot, absolutely. We had a condo like that at Wintergreen for a long time, and it was a very small. It did have 1 bedroom, but it was like 560 square feet, and it was a great little spot. It was within walking distance of the ski slopes. And what's interesting is that homeowners association dues were probably about 4 times higher than our mortgage payment was on it, so you had to look at the overall payment, for that condo. But I mean, our family got a lot of good use out of that, and my kids learned how to ski up there, and it was a good investment. It was good. I say a good, not money wise, but it was a good investment of time and memories. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes that outweighs money.
For sure it does. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about owning real estate is it gives you an opportunity to enjoy your time and put it into something with that also is an asset that typically goes up in value. So, and for us, when you have an investment property like that, you can also write off the interest, and it became a tax deduction for us as well.
It ends up working out.
It worked out really well. Well, let's talk about first-time home buyers and home inspections, because being a first-time home buyer, that's a tough thing, and there's a lot of things you need to know. But one vital and sometimes underrated step of the home buying process, especially as a first-time home buyer, is the home inspection. And first and foremost, I would say this: don't skip a home inspection, especially as a first-time home buyer. And the reason I say especially as a first-time home buyer is because typically a first-time home buyer doesn't have, most times, tens of thousands of dollars in the bank. You know, if there was a major problem that were to go wrong with the house, let's say the heat pump goes out in the first month that a first-time home buyer owns a house, that could be devastating. I mean, that's sometimes a $10,000 problem, and most first-time home buyers don't have those resources that maybe a more, somebody's, moving for their sixth time and they're in their 60s. Typically, those clients have more resources. So it's important that you get a home inspection done. And I would just say it's very good to do that. You'll have a lot of knowledge about the condition of the home and what to expect in the future after you get that home inspection report. So why do it? A home inspector, they're trained to evaluate, dig deeper, and comment on the integrity and the functional operation of the home systems and structures, as well as the safety of a home. So things that a home inspector will check out. Again, I mentioned the HVAC. They're going to check the heating and cooling system. They're going to check the plumbing and electrical systems. They're going to check the roof, the attic, including the insulation in the attic, walls, ceilings, floors, windows and doors. Are those windows opening? Do they have, are they safe operational? Sometimes you get into a window and you open it up and the spring is broken. It just falls right back down again. Well, that's a potential problem. Foundation issues. This is a big one, especially we have a lot of basements. We got a lot of older houses with basements. Is that foundation cracked? Is it moving? Is there any horizontal cracks? Those can be red flags. Structural components, appliances. They'll check all the appliances. Evidence of moisture, mold, mildew. That's a big one. We're in a climate in Lynchburg, Virginia, that's very humid. I say to everybody, every buyer, every basement in Virginia should have a dehumidifier down there. It's just a high moisture content area that we live in, and it's very evident, especially in the summertime today. Evidence of wood destroying pests, termites. Can be a big problem in this area. So they're checking for termite damage, and not just that, other wood destroying pests as well. Radon, testing for radon. That's an optional service, but it might be something worth doing. Most states require a home inspector to be trained and to hold a license to conduct these inspections. Virginia does as well. That's a relatively new law, actually. Home inspectors were not required to be licensed until just very recently, believe it or not. So most of them were good, but there were some that just were not licensed. A good inspector is usually a member of ASHI, and ASHI is the American Society of Home Inspectors. And I would recommend, if you get a home inspector, make sure they're ASHI certified, because those ASHI members must adhere to the ASHI standard of practice in order to ensure their clients receive quality inspections and excellent service. Here's the goal of a home inspection, is that a buyer leaves with a good understanding of the home they are about to purchase. And that allows the buyer to decide whether to move forward with the home buying process on a particular home, or sometimes to move on, to get out of that contract based on the results of the home inspection. I tell buyers, especially first-time home buyers, you'll know three things at the end of the home inspection. Number one, you'll know what's right about the house. You'll know the strengths, what's right about that house. I remember just coming off a home inspection just recently, and it was a home built in the late 50s, custom-built home, ranch home with a hip roof, and the carpenters that built that framing system on the roof did such a good job. The home inspector said, I don't think I could put a credit card in any of the joints, like from the ridge line to the rafters. It's just so tight. Like construction like that, it's really hard to find. So you'll know what's right about the home. You'll also know any maintenance issues to be aware of. So a maintenance issue would be maybe, for example, something like the water heater being 15 years old. It's working fine, but it's 15 years old. And you know what? This thing could go out any time, but it's working, but it's old. And our contracts locally state that, items that are in working condition, they're considered to be grandfathered in, and those are exempt from being replaced or being requested for repairs, because the idea is that systems work. Now, the third thing you'll know is any right now issues. So using that water heater, for example, if there's a slight leak, if the pan is rusty and there's moisture on the bottom of that pan, we got a slight leak going on, well, that's a right now issue. And in that case, we would go back to the seller and say, hey, your water heater has a slight leak. We're asking for that to be replaced. It's 20 years old and it's leaking. That's a right now issue. You'll get a general overview of the home And don't expect the home inspection to be the end all to uncover every issue in a home, because a home inspector can only comment on what they can see. An inspector cannot see inside walls, an attic with no access. They can only comment on what is visible at the time of the inspection. Typically, they're not going to move personal items or dismantle items to inspect. They can't indicate what the market value of a home is. A home inspector cannot provide you the cost of repairs. They can give you a general idea, but they're not the contractor doing the work. So beware of anybody who gives you, oh, this is going to cost X. That's not a home inspector's job. A home inspector cannot recommend vendors to do repairs. This is, going into some ethical things here. And they cannot tell you if the property is good for a particular use and whether you should buy the home or not. And it's not a pass or a fail. It's an overview of the home's condition. It's a non-invasive visual inspection of a home, and the report is a visual description of what is identified by the inspector for a specific date. So what you can expect, again, is that after they do an inspection of the home, they're going to give you a written report. And this is where, if you're buying a home and you're a first-time home buyer, be there for the inspection. If you can't be there for the entire time, at least get there for the last 30 minutes. And then when the inspector can walk you around, show you specifically what he sees or what she sees as would be potential things to be aware of. And then you can ask all questions. Please do ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. It's a big purchase. As a first-time home buyer, it's a big, big purchase, and you should be very confident moving forward. At the same breath, though, no house is perfect. Even new houses are going to have a punch list item from a home inspector. By the way, just because it's new construction doesn't mean you shouldn't get a home inspection. I would recommend it. Home inspectors typically will find things even on new construction homes. After the inspection, take time to review your report. You'll get a report in writing, and then you'll have additional questions. And don't be afraid to call the inspector. And please discuss any of your concerns with your real estate agent. Make a list of issues that concern you, and then kind of prioritize. You've got a couple of options. You can cancel the contract. You could do that. You can also renegotiate with the seller. And that's typically what we do for repairs that are needed. You negotiate those repairs with the seller based on the home inspection report. And you can do things like the seller can complete the repairs. Sometimes we're amending the purchase price, or maybe the seller's paying a contractor at closing to get the work done when they get the proceeds. There's all kinds of ways you can negotiate. And you could also accept the property as is. Sometimes it's, hey, these are minor issues. Buyers are comfortable moving on some minor issues. You can accept the property as is. But typically there's some negotiations that happen after the inspection is completed. So I hope that's helpful. I think the number one takeaway here is do not skip a home inspection. Again, you'll know three things. You'll know what's right about the house, issues to be aware of, and right now issues. And the right now issues you want to come to solutions on.
It's time for Carl Miller Realty's Fun Fact of the Week.
A 20% down payment is not always required. Most mortgage programs allow qualified buyers to purchase a home with much smaller down payments, making home ownership more attainable than you might expect. If you've been waiting because you thought you need to save 20% down on a house, it is definitely worth exploring your options. Your path to home ownership could be closer than you think. If you have real estate questions you want answered, contact us. You can reach out to our social media platforms at Carl Miller Realty, or just give our office a call. We're easy to find. A quick Google search, our number will pop right up for you. And I want to thank you for listening today. We are your local, caring, competent, trusted advisors for real estate sales. If you contact us today for any of your real estate needs, we have real people waiting to take your phone call. We're open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Again, no robots are answering our phones, so we care a little bit more than the AI bots. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we will see you next week.